Go easy on that wine.
I think we are on air. Daphne, I believe we are on air already.
We are. Okay, and the sound is not working, so I'm going to do this really quickly. Welcome, agents, to episode 77 of Behind the Scanner. Your hosts for tonight are me, Daphne D. from Washington, D.C., and Jorge Pedrero from Mexico City. And hosting our chat room later on this evening on BehindTheScanner.com will be Jose Antonio Rey from Lima, Peru. Our special guests tonight are Stu Parkinson from Wexford, Ireland.
Hey guys.
And Estêvão Carvalho from Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Hi.
And joining us for the Weekly Truth, and as well as the chat, like I mentioned earlier, is Jose Antonio Rey from Operation Essex.
Hey everyone.
And we will probably not be getting a look on Inside the Scanner this evening, but we welcome you all onto the show. And join us during the broadcast in our live chat room on our website. Again, that is BehindTheScanner.com, and click on chat. And the Q&A tool is enabled for tonight's broadcast. And just submit your questions throughout the show, and we'll ask as many as time allows. If you know someone who would make a great guest, please submit their information to us again on our website, BehindTheScanner.com, and click on Guest Suggestions. And you can also subscribe to our channel and watch previous recordings on YouTube or listen to audio-only episodes on SoundCloud. For all the latest updates and news, follow us on Google+ and Facebook. And now, let's begin the show. So, well, welcome to another edition of Behind the Scanner. And I don't want to waste any more of your time, and I'm sure you're probably already getting tired of my voice. So let's welcome our guests, Stu and Estêvão, tonight. Welcome, guys.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hi. Hi, Daphne. Hi, Stu.
How are you? Good to meet you all.
Yes, yes. All right. So let's, I always get very curious about agent names. And Stu, I think it's pretty safe to assume that Mr. Blue Skies was probably not your first agent name, was it? Or just by chance?
No, I changed that about a year ago. It was originally Irish Stew.
Oh, nice.
That was that was my old handle from when I used to play the PlayStation and the Xbox and that. So it goes well. Irish Stew, nice and warm, and fills you up on a cold winter's day. So
funny. And Estêvão, for the sake of consistent assumptions, I take it your agent name is from your first name, or And so I'm just wondering, is it frustrating that to get your agent name correct, it's that you can't use the accents that
well,
actually in your name?
Yeah, it's funny because, as you can see on the lower 30, my name has 2 accents, and it's really hard because I have no problems when people outside of Brazil don't use them because it's natural. Even when I fill out forms in English, I don't use them. But the funny thing is that people in Brazil don't use that. So it's really hard because, okay, I have no problems with foreigners not writing my name correctly, but at least the Brazilians could give it a shot. So people don't get too bummed if you can't, or if you can pronounce my name, because it's Estêvão. But for the life of me, I never saw an English speaker person capable of saying it. So you are doing a fine job there.
Thank you. So I have to ask though, if are the differences as acute like in Chinese, where if there's an accent in the certain way, then it has a completely different meaning in another way, or are the differences very subtle?
I think they are more subtle. If you didn't have the first one on my name, it would sound something like Estêvão and not Estêvão. But I wouldn't say it's. It would bother me, but it's not such.
We'll do our best here.
Well, Estêvão. I hope I'm trying. You've been known to travel a lot. This is because of Ingress, or there's another reason for that?
I love to travel. Travel is my passion. I do travel as often as I can, as often as money allows. And Ingress, it only help that, because now I have a reason to travel inside Brazil, and then you can say, okay, let's go to that beach, and then we can put on a mega field. And also the first thing now when I think about going to a distant place is, well, let me see if they have a portal there, and I can try to look for any possibility of using the travel for that. So I think the Ingress came up as something that increased the enjoyment of travel, because when you travel and you don't play Ingress, you get to a foreign country and you have no one to contact, no one to grab a beer and talk about. And when you play Ingress, it's like being a member of some secret society. And in whatever country I'll go, whatever city I go, I can open my scanner, go to the faction and say, hi, does anyone here can show me the city? And I think I love the social part of Ingress. So, and I think that thanks to Ingress, I enjoy my travels today even more.
Can you define it really good? A secret society is just like that. It's the magic of Ingress. Where has been your favorite places to travel?
I think recently the most beautiful portal I captured was in Chile, in the desert of Atacama.
Oh, they say it's amazing.
Yes, it's very beautiful.
So, Stu, do you travel much to do your own fielding or for pleasure or whatever?
Back in the day, I would have been one of the biggest travellers around Ireland for Ingress with my job. It took me all over the country. So that's how I kind of built up my name as one of the fielders for the resistance. I would have been doing for my job about 150,000 plus kilometres a year. Considering Ireland's only about 300 kilometres wide and about 400 or 500 kilometres tall, I used to do quite a lot of travelling. So yeah, I do all my travelling for my fields. I love it, and I suppose I found Ingress at the right time when I started my new job. When I went out, I'm an electrician by trade, but during the recession I had to take on another job just to pay the bills, and that was travelling all over the country. So Ingress kept me occupied on those 4-hour journeys from one side of the country to the other at 11 o'clock at night time. So yeah, I used to do a lot of travelling, not as much now, but I used to do an awful lot of travelling. And I would have submitted 370 odd of the portals in Ireland. There's probably about 5,000 or 6,000, possibly more. So small country, but yeah, it's good fun. I really enjoy it now, and the strategy in it it's great, you know. So
those are amazing numbers. Do you have any favorite place or places?
Not as such. I used to just love going around submitting portals. My job would have taken me off the beaten track. I'd be up the old country roads and the little churches nobody would have ever seen, you know, barring for Ingress. So I'd submit those. I wouldn't have a favourite port. Well, I do have a favourite portal that I use all the time, that the other team and my team be well aware of, in the southeast of Ireland. It's just below me by about 70 kilometres. It's Carnsore Point. I love that portal. My parents have a house beside it. It's very remote, so it serves me well for doing my fields. But no, apart from that, I wouldn't have a standout portal in Ireland that I would consider amazing. I just think the places it brings you, where you go, they're amazing. The sights you see going to them are amazing. So
nice. And well, I have to admit, it's pretty interesting to get two guests simultaneously who are both into fielding as much as you both are. So, all right, I'll just bring it up. I mean, size matters sometimes.
Oh.
I'm gonna have to ask you boys, whip them out. What has been the biggest field you have done? So, Stu, you go first.
Well, being in little All Ireland and with our little population, we don't get much for our field. So during Event Horizon, which at its time was the biggest, I think, ever operation in Ingress history, we covered the island with 8 layers, and we got about 2.3 million per layer. So we don't really get big mind units here. You know, I would do on a weekly basis, I'd probably pull in about 1 million and 1.5 million mind units, but they're working from 20,000 or 40,000 mind unit fields doing layers. We really don't get big mind units. To cover Dublin, the capital of Ireland, I think the most we've ever gotten is about 650,000 mind units, and that's got a population of 3 or 4 million, I think. So it's not about the size; it's about the quality.
Estêvão, how do you feel about that? Is it the size or is it the quality?
I think it's the effort. I say that because I'm blessed to live in São Paulo, and São Paulo is a really dense area, so we get big mind units. The largest mind unit per layer that I got was 25 million mind units. And like I said, I'm blessed to be on a very dense area. One of the operations that I'm most proud of, we covered 65,000 square miles. That's 170,000 square kilometers. And the longest link I threw was nearly 800 kilometers. So, but I like I said, and if I lived in a more rural area or something, I wouldn't be able to get 25 million in a single field. So I would say, even though those fields are really big in mind units, I would say that what you do, your effort, the story you tell, it's more important than how many mind units you get.
Like the gentleman that you are.
So we still don't know if size matters or just the effort. But okay, I'm gonna do a little pause here to invite you to interact with us on the chat. You can interact with the host. In this occasion is Jose from Peru in the chat, and our guests, they are there. And well, just go to the thescanner.com and just click on the top. It says chat, and you just Ingress with your Ingress code and name, and that's it. So, getting back to the effort, first is to it's just not a matter of execution, but the experiences we have in this game that make it really rich. So, do you have a fun story to share?
I have lots of stories to share. The Irish community is, I suppose, it's one of a kind because we're such a small island. So everybody knows everybody. Maybe there might be 300-400 activations on the island at any one time. Pretty much everybody knows everybody. But my funniest, I suppose, mission story would be during Event Horizon. Was first big up the Irish resistance were ever involved in. I was running it along with Martin Chuck. They got 20 odd layers over England and we got the 8 over Ireland. But we went down to Dingle on the far west coast of Ireland, in the wilds of Ireland back in the day of Ingress. There was no one else down there. We done all our scouting out, went to the furthest portals out from the town, and we all had network there, or we were able to teeter off someone. So we're all sitting in the pub and we're waiting for the go, and we got the go from the main hangout to say, right, start your links. So we all jumped into 2 cars. There was 8 of us down there. It was snowing. It was the middle of January. And we went speeding off, and next minute, one-way streets. We never thought to check out the in-town portals and how we were going to get to them. We just assumed they're only 100 metres away from the pub. It's grand, we'll get to them. So abandoned cars, everyone running up to the portals, different portals. We had to, at the time, we weren't using very rare link amps for anything. We didn't have ultra link amps, so the portals had to be made up to level 8, and they had to have 3 link amps on them to get us up to the Faroe Islands. So yeah, that was funny, running through the Dingle at 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Loads of people from all over the place just running around trying to find the portals. That would be, I suppose, that would be my most fond memory of it. It's the amount of preparation you put in, and then all of a sudden a single thing that you overlook, like one-way streets where the cars can't go up, and you have people on the continent in Europe, you've got people in England, you've got people in the Faroe Islands, all waiting for you. And so just abandon cars, run up to the portals, get the first links in, and then it's just relax after that.
Yeah, shit happens.
Yeah.
all the time. Estêvão, well, let's go to another side of experiences in the game. Have you learned something? Any kind of lesson, life lesson, or whatever?
Well, I think that you learn a lot about working as a team, especially if you are into fielding, because you learn about being prepared, that you have to be prepared for the unexpected, and if you are into big fielding, you know it's all about jazz and not math, because you are not working alone, you need help from others, and on the other side of the table you have very talented people that are trying to stop you. So I think you learn a lot about leadership skills, working as a team, and networking, because if you want to do big fields you have to make a lot of friends everywhere. You need to know that you can call favors, you cannot make demands. So I think it's funny because when you think about Ingress, you think, okay, you have a lot of nerds playing Ingress, that people that can relate, that can make friends, and it's funny because Ingress demands and polishes the talents to do the things that usually are not associated with people, with nerds. So I think I learned a lot, and I had a lot of fun time doing fields. I was listening to Stu. I was remembering one time that we went to close a big field on an island, and the last boat from the island got out of there, I believe, at 5 o'clock. But we couldn't close the field because we had a blocking link, and this happens. And we couldn't also because the signal, the cellular cell phone signal was really, really bad. And I had to go from one place to the other and use a portable Wi-Fi router, and it was very, very complicated. And to make a long story short, we had to decide: we are going to stay on this island and close this field, or we are going back. And if we go back, okay, we lose the field. If we stay for the field, we might get stuck on the island. And we stay on the island. And after closing the field, we tried to find a speedboat that could take us to land. And it was already dark, and I can't swim, and I a little bit afraid of waters. And in the pitch dark, the speedboat, it was a very small speedboat, and the guy was going really, really fast, and it was at the same time a very rewarding experience, but it also it got me a little bit scared. So Ingress, it's a very engaging game, and that's what I love about it.
Oh my God, I feel you as far as that sort of fear of water. And did it take some time for you to get back into fielding or doing a similar kind of op after something like that?
I think when you do a big fielding operation, you have to give yourself some time to recover. And otherwise, come on, even portals have to wait 4 hours after burnout. So I think you have to understand that you can't keep the same energy all the time, or you go nuts, or other areas of your life might suffer, your work or your family. So that's another part I try to work to find the perfect balance between this game that I love and the other areas of my life.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so gentlemen, it's not just about stats and size, but you both have lives as well. Estêvão, you have a long and really interesting history with the World Wide Web, back when we actually called it that. How did you get started? And yeah, like where did you get started with the World Wide Web?
Yeah, it's a funny thing because in the early 90s, before we had internet or anything like that, at least in Brazil, I started as a teenager with bulletin board systems. I don't know if anyone of you BBS or used, or yeah, it was really funny. And that was a secret society, BBS. Because nearly no one knew, because nowadays you talk about the internet, even your grandma uses it. But back then it was really, and you had this dark BBS that you had to ask for someone to introduce to you, and it was fun. I started working with this. I created what I believe was the first e-commerce BBS in Brazil that made sales of computer equipment. And when I was 17 years old, I created one of the first internet service providers of Brazil, in São Paulo. And so, and then I entered law school. And I had all this, and I had already been working and making money with IT. On the other side, I was falling in love with law. And so what do you do? And I went to, until the last year of law school, I was working with IT. But then I had to make a choice, and I went with law. I don't regret it, because I still can do as a hobby TI, and I do stuff like I compile my own Android system and do those things that I used to do professionally just as a hobby. And I think that this, in the end, was what drew me to Ingress at the early start, because I saw this weird game from Google, and oh, I have to know what this is.
Nice. That's such an interesting leap. Do you? Well, I'll probably ask you that later. But yeah, that transformation. It seems almost unrelated. But then, do you find that some of your IT experience helps with your law experience, or vice versa?
I think so. I think so, because I work with also with internet law. So a lot of conflicts nowadays have some consequence are related to the internet, to computers. So this helps, and also I think that the IT mindset that is more organized, and also helps me work with the law in the same way. I think you can use the same skills on both sides.
Fair enough. All right. And Stu, I'm curious to see if there's some skills that can be linked up. You have an interesting and eclectic past as well. However, yours is with music and DJing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That's all part of my misspent youth. Yeah, back in the day I used to do a lot of DJing, in many strange places. I had a slot on an old pirate radio station here, Power FM. I used to do a couple of the old notorious clubs as well, Sides and the Olympic and the Asylum. They would have been the well-known notorious clubs, let's just say, in Dublin at the time, in the mid-90s and early 90s. And God, yeah, I used to do, I remember out in Hout, where one of our opposite numbers, Garden Boy, has a stronghold. That's a green stronghold now. Before I used to go out to that for Ingress, which I do seldom at the moment, but I remember one night going out and brought the boat around Hothead with the DJ equipment while everyone else was walking on the cliffside to try and get to the little beach we were doing the party on, and I've done them up mountains and caves, so it was interesting. Then came along my three beautiful little children who aren't so beautiful or little anymore, and well, they're still beautiful. But yeah, so that kind of put a stop to that. There was no more kind of coming home from work or sitting up late at night practicing the music with the decks because the kids were asleep. Shh, you know, you can't be waking the kids up. So that was the end of that side of things, you know. So yeah, but that was that was a big part of my growing up, was doing the DJing. And funnily enough, we have a beer grass night for the Resistance in Dublin. Well, Irish Resistance or whoever can make it up to Dublin, but it's in Dublin every Thursday night. They had it tonight, and it's in the Bull and Castle pub, and that was the first ever gig I did, was in that pub back many years ago. So it's kind of, it comes full circle a little bit, you know. So yeah, I remember it well. It was a college gig for, I can't remember what college it was now, but I remember when we first went to the beer grass night. And I kind of walked in and said, oh, I recognise this place. Oh yeah, that was the first place I ever did a gig. But I'd say that's all behind me now. I've grown up. I've had to grow up and put it all behind me. Children have taken it all away from me. I don't blame them for it, though. I don't hold it against them.
All right. Well, you've sort of brought it up, and since you're Irish, and I've actually asked this about with I think one of your country mates, and we'll talk about him momentarily. But so, Guinness or Murphy's?
Neither. I don't drink stout. Never have liked it. Shock and horror. Shock and horror. I'm a lager man myself. I like the Heineken or those nice continental German beers, the cloudy ones. But basically, if it's beer and it's not like Budweiser, I'll drink it as long as it's not stout. Can't be fussy.
Aw. And and speaking of your country mate, yes, he was. Oh gosh, was it? He was actually on.
Episode 20 or 22 it was.
Oh my gosh, yes,
Yeah.
some time ago.
That was Frank. Frank, he would have been a big part of the Irish community from well before I started on it. Me and him, actually the first person to ever talk to me on the comm was Frank. I used to think of level 4, and this was when I was doing all my travelling around the country. And his home base would have been the west side of the country. I live on the east side. And I happened to be working over the west side, and he said, "Oh, welcome to the game. Are you a new player? Are you based here?" And I straight away said, "Oh yeah, I've just moved into the area, although I was living over the other side of the country." But yeah, so I had good times with him. We didn't see eye to eye towards the end, as the game can sometimes drive you both mad. But yeah, it was devastating for both communities. He was a very well respected person in both communities and internationally, from what I could see. And a big binding factor in the enlightened community in Ireland, and also a big focus point for the resistance in Ireland. Where's Frank going? Frank's out in the road. Oh, what's he doing? He's out at 4 o'clock in the morning again. We're all in bed, So he was great for the game, great for the community. Sadly missed, and it was a tragic accident. And I think only for the fact he has such good teammates that it was discovered so quickly. A big mention to Crack Dealer there, who will be he will be the lad that found him. The following morning, followed up. Whereas Frank, went out, did the searching, and made the awful discovery. So, kind of hats off to the other team there. There's a big devastation for the whole community. I remember the day was announced. It was announced early in the morning in our main hangouts that Frank had been missing. So it was tense all day, and he got found, unfortunately, kind of halfway through the day, and it wasn't good news. But I think only for Ingress, it might have been longer, So I kind of have to bow my hats to that, and bow my hats to his team. They're fantastic, and without them, I think his family might have had to wait that little bit longer for such sad news. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't nice for our community, both sides of the community. We were all devastated about it. So.
Dear gosh, yes, and well, I was going to bring this up later on, but since we are talking about
Daniel,
it now, and thank you for reminding me earlier when we were getting set up. But speaking of devastating news, for those who haven't seen some of the posts, we actually have had another agent in our family depart us very tragically. For those who may have seen or not seen in the news, but in San Bernardino in California in the United States, Agent Kojin was actually a victim of the shooting, and unfortunately, yes, he just passed away today from injuries, and we certainly all want to express our sincerest condolences to his family and to his community and to everyone involved. So I guess it's just a reminder that we've just got to embrace and enjoy every moment we can.
Yeah, live life to the full and make the most of it.
Yes, and so yeah, but thank you all. Okay, so maybe on a more lighthearted note, maybe we should go on with the weekly truth with Operation Essex, and Jose Antonio Rey, who's been graciously hosting in the chat. Welcome to come back on into the camera and catch us up on what's going on in the Ingress storyline.
Hello everyone, and again I'm back here to talk about what's going on in the Ingress storyline. Well, there's been some interesting news around here. Let me share my screen. I've got some leaked documents from the past week. First, we got this interesting document where some of the CEOs of the corporations, the three corporations we know, IQ-Tech, Hulong, and Visser, are talking about Hing Johnson going into Mexico City. This is very curious for me, and it turns out that Jahan is well. It's something a little bit unrelated right now, but Jahan is trying to get her hands into a primal object, into a primal XM object, and it's we're going to talk about that in just a bit. And apparently, the person who's holding this object or artifact is named Quetzalcoatl Guzman, and apparently it's a drug lord and thug. We don't know what the image of Quetzalcoatl Guzman is, but just as a little bit of backstory, in case you don't know this, Quetzalcoatl was a Mexican god in the form of a bird. So that's something that may pop up soon. And there's some information that Calvin had about Quetzalcoatl Guzman, as well as IQ-Tech. However, this information is very conflicting. It's not the same. So now let's get to the second document of the week. The second document of the week is a conversation between Jahan and Hank Johnson. And apparently Hank Johnson is following Jahan. And, well, they met at a coffee shop, apparently, in order to find this object. The Ehekacoatl. Well, it's a little bit difficult to pronunciate. Ehekakoscatl. Apparently that means wind jewel. It's something like a conch shell. And if you know what the conch shell is, you will understand there is a spiral in that shell which is exactly the same as the Fibonacci spiral. So it may be something. It may be something related to that, and apparently Mr. Guzman is holding this artifact that is similar to the Shonin Stone, and it's actually a skeleton key. So this key opens a door to the underworld, they say. But what is this underworld? Why are they willing to go to this underworld? And what will they find in there? Is this underworld the same as the ultimate? They want to meet people in there, maybe Jarvis, maybe, I don't know, someone in there, or change something, or bring the Nasir, like make the door bigger. And they Hank just reminds that Guzman is very, very dangerous. And finally, we have a third document here, which is whoops, and here we go. Which is a conversation again between the three corporations, where it is known that now Jahan and Hank Johnson are heading to the Sunken Pyramid, and the Sunken Pyramid is basically located in Mr. Guzman's backyard, which means they are definitely trying to get that artifact. Now, apparently they know, the corporations know about this artifact, and apparently they have some information about what the artifact is. They don't fully know what the artifact is, but it's something that may be activated into something, or maybe opening some door for them. And our Ever Lorison mentions that combined with Calvin papers, it's going to be super powerful. However, we don't know what that information is. We don't know what's going on with those papers, or what this key opens. Apparently, Jahan and Hank Johnson do know, and if there is a key, and they mentioned the Sunken Pyramids as well, I personally think there will be something to open. Jahan will be trying to open something along with Hank Johnson in Mexico. So probably that pyramid is just the other part of the key. We're going to figure that out in the next couple of weeks. So we actually don't know what's going on. This is a key that opens a door to the underworld, but we don't know what the underworld is or what can we find there. It's something that's going to be developed in the next couple of weeks, I'm sure. Also, just as a reminder, next week we are going to see the three final Abaddon anomalies with primary sites in Okinawa, in Milan, and in Oakland. So that's going to define some of the paths and the patterns that we're going to see in the upcoming weeks. That's definitely linked to the information that we're going to see here. If you want to find more information, go to the Niantic Project Google Plus page. And if you have any questions, if you want to join the discussion or have something interesting to share, go to operationessex.org, and we'll be more than glad to give you a hand over there.
Well, I have to say that Hank is not over here. We hadn't found him.
Well, he's probably hidden right now or going somewhere. Again, Mr. Guzman is a very powerful thug and a drug lord. So Mr. Guzman's identity or location will be very, very protected, and any movements that Hank Johnson or Jahan are going to have, they're going to be very silent as well, because if they get spotted, Mr. Guzman will know, because his world is just going to go down. So they have to be very careful with their movements. And again, I'm not sure what they may find in Mexico, but they may be going after something apart from that key in the pyramids.
Well, just a little clarification. Quetzalcoatl, it's not a bird god. It's a feathered serpent.
I love the historical knowledge with that.
Well, it is time for the cut of the show. So, taking the advantage of having Jose here, maybe he can help us with the code. So, Jose, are you ready?
Let's do this. And
So
there are the codes.
There.
We have two codes.
Yeah, and it's resistance blue. Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. Finally.
Does that mean I get more Jarvises?
No.
That means you get double AP for redeeming those codes.
No, it's funny. I was at this cross-faction dinner this weekend, and the Resistance guys are saying that they get a heck of a lot more Jarvie, and whereas we Enlightened, we tend to get a lot more Adas. So, I don't know.
Ooh, two codes.
Yeah. Well, for those that are not in the chat, go to the chat, because there are other codes being shared there. So if you
if you ask a question, you're going to get a code as well. So
exactly. So if you want more codes, and share them on your Hangouts or Telegrams or WhatsApp or whatever you use to communicate with your community, go there and ask a question to our guests and receive the code.
Yummy!
Well, I think it's time. So bye, Jose.
bye,
You can talk to them in the
codes.
chat, viewers.
So who's next? Me? Oh my
Yes,
god.
you!
Oh my god. Oh my god. Well,
Shots, everyone shots.
so Estêvão. 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 Oh my god. Wrong place with the accent. Okay. Well, you were talking with, we were talking with us too early about DJing. You have a relationship with a radio as well, ham radio.
Yes, I'm an amateur radio operator. My handle is Papa Uniform 2 Uniform Kilo Romeo. If you ever heard this call sign, it's me.
Really?
And yeah, and it's a fun hobby, and sometimes even comes in handy because when you are going after unicorn portals, very hard to find portals, you can use radio communication to communicate with your team and during anomalies, and it can be fun. It makes you feel more like an agent.
Can we hear it online somewhere?
Oh, well, usually you have to use a radio to communicate, but there are now some apps. There is an app for Android, I will not remember right now the name, but with this app you can connect to transmitters around the world, and even if without having a radio, you can listen to other people talking, and you can feel how it is to be a ham radio without having a ham radio.
Okay.
Do you need to have special training or anything for ham radio?
Yes, actually, you need, at least in Brazil, of course, this varies country by country, but in Brazil you have to get a license and you have to get a certification, and it's a funny thing because I went to do the exam to get my license, and the exam was on a beach, and I went there, I got the exam and also closed a mega field. So
I like the double duty.
Well, and now let's go to Stu, because you are a really creative guy. So let's talk about furniture. You make furniture, man.
I did. I'm a self-taught furniture maker. I am an electrician by trade, but when the recession hit, I started making furniture and started making kitchens and TV units and bedside lockers. And, to be honest, I don't know how I became an electrician. I always wanted to be working with wood, but I kind of fell into being an electrician. But the things took a turn then after I was self-employed for 13 years with loads of people working with me. Things went bad with the recession here in Ireland, so I kind of said, well, it's time to branch out and expand myself. I want to be able to pay the bills. So yeah, you did a lot of that. I did quite well with that for a couple of years. But then I just decided to go into what I'm doing now, which is the delivery business. Some people might say it's others, some people might say I'm selling other things. But yeah, so I'm just doing what I'm doing at the moment is my stopgap until things pick up. But yeah, the one passion I have is it's working with my hands, working with the wood, and making furniture. Satisfaction, number one, apart from making feels.
Fascinating.
Really cool, really cool. It's amazing the people we can know here in this show, and well, we are almost there. We are almost in the audience questions for our guests. So if you are watching us on YouTube, you can click on the top of the video. There's a square grid, and you can go and click on be part of the conversation. Just click on the icon and ask whatever you want. So, Stu, how are community relationships in Ireland? Any difference?
They are, in general, they're very good. There's a few of us that wind each other up on both sides. You get that everywhere in the world. But in general, they're quite good. But I find what I've noticed myself is the Irish community, both sides. It kind of really stands out because we are a nation divided as such. If you look at Northern Ireland with a border, but you know, and there was a lot of division over the years in Ireland with that border between Ireland and Northern Ireland and the English and the Irish. But in general, the community over here, it's phenomenal. When I started playing, it was very much Dublin centred, and as I was travelling around the country, I got to meet people. We grew the community, and now it's a national based community. And as I say, there's always going to be few, and me included, that don't get on with some of the others. But I think it's also good that we are all grown ups playing the game, so we can all kind of say, okay, this is a game, and oh, I hate you as the game person, but when I see you on the street, I'm going to shake your hand, get you a pint, or do whatever, go for a coffee. So it's being able to leave it behind. But I think Ireland's very unique in that if you look at America, or look at England, or look at France, you know, they're such big countries compared to Ireland. You're never going to know everyone on your side or on the other side. In Ireland, you're going to know 95% of everyone playing because it is that small a country, and you're always going to trip over each other when you're trying to make fields or throw links and somebody just turns up in the wrong place. So I think the community it's key for me in this game. I find it amazing that, you know, I could go anywhere in the world, and you know, you don't have to have a bed to sleep on, you just have to have a hangout with the right people, and you're going to be put up, you're going to be offered a bed, you're going to be shown around. So I just think the community with Ingress is something, it's amazing. I don't think they ever envisaged what it would grow into. And I think, you know, it's grown into such a huge thing worldwide that it's actually quite phenomenal. I don't think any other game could even hope to accomplish what Ingress has accomplished in communities. Community relations are always going to be fraught. They're always going to be difficult. There's always going to be people that don't get on with other personalities on both sides or on the same side. So that's just something you have to take into consideration. But you have to be grown up enough, a man or woman enough, to be able to say, well, it's a game, and that's a game persona, and that's the real life persona. That real life person isn't that person that's been trolling you or whatever on the com there. That's just, you know, that's just them in game. And you know, but community, without community, the Ingress will be nothing. There's nothing in the Ingress if you're playing on your own. You have to be part of the community. So it's yeah, I think, you know, they came up with a great game, but I don't think they realised the community that would build around it, and thankfully the community did build around it, because I don't think the game would be here without it. That's
I respect those guys that want to play alone, but I really don't get it, because they are losing all the fun. You know,
well, yeah. When I first started playing, the English community in Ireland was mainly Dublin centred or city centred. We've got about 3 or 4 cities in the whole island. So, well, you guys might call them cities, we do. They're big towns. But so it was very much city centred, and there wasn't much rural play. So when I started playing myself, a lot of it was on my own, on my travelling. Kind of kept me sane. My fields were getting bigger and bigger, and my keyring was getting more and more full. But yeah, it's all about, you know, once you meet that first person, the buzz is there. You want to meet more and do teamwork. And I think, like, if you look at the south coast of Ireland, along the southeast over to the southwest, from when I started to now, we've kept control, but just through the great network we have, you know, as Resistance, you know, and I'm sure the Enlightened have their same. But I just think it's the key of the game is community and working together. Key transfers, gear transfers, spotting the new players in rural areas that are either going to be a problem if they're on your side if they throw up shit links, or they're going to be, you know, a problem if they're the opposite team, you know. So you engage with them, or, you know, and if they're on your team, you feed them with gear, you give them keys, you get them involved. You know, I had a new lad starting, or funny enough, his name's Stu as well. He lives 200. I live in the middle of nowhere. I'm in the countryside. He lives 200 meters down the road from me, and he started up. It's pure coincidence. So when I seen him starting, it was yeah, right, hi, how are you? Come down to the local town, and we did some fields. I think he's on his third or fourth day, and he got his gold fielder badge just through getting him involved, and now he's an animal for the game. But it's all about just getting the community and getting people on their own involved. You know, I think that's the most important. Having fun, that's having a laugh, getting the buzz and the fields go up.
So true, man. Well, Estevão, only this one thing, and side reps are completely another. What's so special about those in your play game?
Well, I love to do sit reps because it's how you show your work, and because what you see on the scanner or the Intel is not even half the story, because the good part of the story is to tell your friends and your competitors about being on an island and having to escape on a speedboat. This type of story is what makes people want to read a sit rep. And I try to make the sit rep light. I try to make it funny. And usually, when we are doing an operation, we from start try to find a team, something that will make the whole thing come together in the end. And we try to get videos. And while I was listening to Jose on Operation Essex, describing the storyline, and it's very funny when you can get into the storyline with your fields, with your operation, and you can also use this storyline to make something funny, because I like to poke a little bit of fun on the storyline, because the storyline is so serious and so complicated, and that's that. And then you can make some fun of ourselves and have some fun, and that's what we try to achieve with our sit reps, and make some fun and show that we are having a good time.
Sure, that's really important to let know the guys out there how you live the experience, how you live group and companion moment, you know.
Yeah, I can't agree more. Although I'm not very good at writing, and I don't know too many people who are very good or adept at writing sit reps. So I'm really glad to find someone who actually enjoys doing it too. So that's cool. All right. So, well, Stu, in addition to fielding, what are your thoughts about like shards and connected cells?
Connected cells when they first came out about a week long were crazy, and they were manic, and they were burnout. Like, it was just unreal. But as they progressed and they've done the connected cells, you know, in the shorter period, the fun that could be had it's unreal. You've got a very short burst of, you know, a couple of hours. You know, you've got 4 or 5 hours to outwit the other team, and that is serious fun. Whereas before, when it was a week, it was like, oh my god, how the hell are we going to carry on? Like, everyone's getting burnt out, and it was great that they changed up the rules. The shards, I think the new format is much better. I haven't had the experience myself, but I've been reading up on it and talking to people who have been at the new anomalies with the new quick shard bursts. And yeah, it's sounding so much better. Because the old shards, Ireland, I have to give a mention to Team Northern Ireland. Right, they are fantastic, and they created during the last of the old series of shards what we call the Shardy go round. and I think they had maybe 5 or 6 shards going around in a circle of looped portals for maybe 2 weeks. I think it was 3 weeks. Everyone was just sending shards to Ireland, they're grand, nothing's happening to them. But hats off to the team in Northern Ireland. I'd say they were seriously burnt out after it, but they had so much fun. But I just think the new formats that they've come up with work so much better for engagement, for keeping everyone interested and not burning people out. Because the one thing you don't want to do is burn out people who are dedicated, and then they lose the hope or they lose the interest. So I honestly think that the new system is going to work a lot better for Niantic in the long run to keep game interest going.
You're talking about like the flash shards?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. And past viewers probably heard me and Jorge just groan anytime shards come up. Yeah, I was lucky enough. I just happened to be traveling to Boston when they had the first Flash Shard event, and yeah, that was pretty awesome. In fact, I like that even more than Anomalies.
Yeah, it seems that the new route they've taken is they're going in the right direction, and it's a lot more engaging for the local players. Connected cells, the flash shards. It gives everyone that sense of being involved in the bigger picture without having to be involved for a full week. Because in real life takes over. You can't go on for a week.
Yeah, or we had months when we were a opposing faction shard target. Yeah, that was. I think all of us just kind of chose life instead.
I think they've taken the right direction.
Yeah. How about you, Estêvão? Do you have any thoughts about the shards or the connected cells or anything?
Well, I think not really, because we don't have flash shards anywhere near South America. So I would say Niantic, come on, remember of South America, remember of São Paulo. It's a big city. We are waiting to have another anomaly in São Paulo. We already had 2, but the last one was on December 2013. So I was reading you talk about flash shards, and for me it's like Greek, because it's something so distant, and I got really jealous about it.
I think your time is probably soon enough. All right. So, well, I guess now it's time for viewer questions. Are you guys ready for that?
Work away, yeah.
All right. So one of our regulars, Blades Edge NZ, would like to ask you, Estêvão, when you go out and play Ingress, do you prefer to go out on your own or with others?
I always prefer to go out and play with others, because it's what makes Ingress a different game, takes it to another level, to have someone to share the experience, to talk with. And so whenever possible, I play, be it just to storm a farm or to make a mega field, to go with someone. But sometimes you have to go alone, because you have to take down a blocking link, and you are stretched. You don't have many players in the team, but it's really hard, because when I already went through these ones, you through the link, you close the field, and you have no one to talk about it, and you are in the middle of a street, and you are looking to other people. Come on, I want to talk with someone about this great thing. Can I interest you in the world of Jarvis, sir?
It sounds like the evangelistas that show up at the doorsteps. Let me introduce you to the word of Jarvis. I'm sorry. All right. How about you?
I play a lot on my own, because most of my play is done when I'm driving for work. when I'm at home, and if I'm lucky enough to get out, I'll go out and play. But it's mostly playing on my own, but always with Hangouts going and communication. Can you knock a link for me? Can you throw up a spine link for me or something? So, but most of my play will be done on my own. Just the nature of my job. I am in the car on my own, 10 hours a day. So a lot of it is done on my own. But when you're the resistance in Ireland, you're never working alone, especially down the south of Ireland, along with the rest of Ireland. But we have such a good network here that, you might just pop in and just deploy one reso on a remote portal, and now you got someone on Hangouts. Oh, Stu, you're down there. Like, how are you? Oh, do you want to do this or do that? So, well, I do play on my own all the time. That's physically on my own. You're always communicating and working with the rest of your team and the rest of your cell team to, not throw up a link that's going to block someone, or, you're going to do it and work together as a team to get the cell scores up at the end of the day, so.
Nice. Okay. Fanatic Paris, I'm just going to summarize a couple of the questions. But do you have family members that also play? And I'll start with you, Stu, if you want to.
I have two to play. The wife, who doesn't really play anymore, she got up to level 8 and kept me happy. But she doesn't play as much anymore. She'll go out when I drag her in the car to deploy a couple of resos or whatnot. My son, who is 14, plays, and it's my biggest joy in Ingress, seeing him out playing and enjoying it. Only recently we went down to my local town art club, and he'd been bugging me for ages. Daddy, bring me out. I want to get leveled up to level 10. And he was quite down because the nasty side of the game, a spoofer with a blue level 1 account killed his guardian at 149. So he was very down. The jar was sitting. He was very down, So I brought him out and going around, and a typical grumpy teenager. I was 14. But when he got to level 10, he was sitting beside me in the car. And I heard it, and I just looked at him, and I seen a smile on his face, and I was just there, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? He was so thrilled himself. He wouldn't let me know, of course, but I caught him smiling. So yeah, he plays, and he'd like to play a lot more if he could drive, but he's not allowed yet, so he relies on me to drive. And then obviously the wife, who I wish I could get to play more, but she never quite caught the bug like I did, So. But yeah, so that's it. I've tried to get my daughter to play. She won't play. But that's fine. I'm happy enough that it's quality time I get with my son is extremely important when I'm playing with him. I love it. So nice. That's very important to me.
Nice. How about you, Estêvão?
My girlfriend plays, and when we started to date, I already played Ingress. I was a very high level already. And she, at first she said, "What strange game is that? You are a child playing that." But she started to play, and the funny part is that usually we don't play it together. And she got up to her actual. Now she turned 13 using the double AP this week, and then she's very happy. Level 13, and we in most of this we weren't playing together. That's the funny part. Usually when we are together, we'll do some hacking on the car, because when you play Ingress, you can't turn it off. You are a full-time agent. But we don't usually go to play together. We go to farms. In Brazil, we love to do farms in bars. We sit, we have beer, food, and we keep hacking. And the funny part is that, for example, in São Paulo, we have a bar do Jota, that is a resistance bar. And you have also a enlightened bar, that is Nox. And sometimes you have enlightened agents that go to the resistance bar, and Jota invites them, okay, come on, and we have all a good laugh. So, but from family, the only person that decided to play was my girlfriend. I tried to convince my sister, to help me because she travels sometimes, but she said, okay, no, this game is silly, I don't want to know about it.
Okay, and Blades Edge New Zealand wanted to ask Stu, you mentioned your woodwork. Have you done anything Ingress related?
No, I haven't. Unfortunately, when I put down my tools in 2013, I haven't with my current job and Ingress and family. I haven't had time to go out to my workshop, which kills me. I can see my tables and my saws and everything are getting rusty. But no, I haven't had a chance. But I'm hoping to get back onto the tools now in 2016, and I'd say some inspiration will be taken from the game anyway. I keep myself busy doing my angles, doing my triangles in the game, so that keeps me busy.
Hey.
So, wow. Okay, girl. Guys, it's our BDS tradition to give you 60 seconds to talk about whatever you want. So, well, this is the moment. Let's go first with Stu. So, you have 60 seconds, man. Tell us whatever you want.
What do you say? You're putting me on the spot now, you know. Main thing, enjoy the game and don't take people too seriously in the game, you know. Go out and have fun. That's what it's all about. Make feels, get one over on the other side. But at the end of the day, just remember, the only difference between you and the other side, no matter how much you might hate that agent name, is you pressed a different button when you first picked up the scanner. That's the most important thing to remember. Don't be Mr. Happy, be Mr. Content, you know. Mr. Happy's always hiding his true feelings, you know. So just be content, be happy, and enjoy the game, you know. So have fun. That's the main thing. Have fun, look after each other, and enjoy your community. Nothing else like in the world. That's
Great
about 30 seconds, but you can take it from there.
Great advice. Well, Estêvão.
Well, I'll start by sending a kiss to my girlfriend Mariana, or she will kill me. So, hi Mariana. And I would also like to express my feeling about the game, because I think that the question about how competitive sometimes we get is really important. We have to keep in mind first that on the other side of the scanner is a real person, and I think that Ingress First Saturday and other initiatives are very important. So we meet each other. I never saw people that have met face to face to use harsh words on the com like I see from people don't know each other, because they assume that we are using avatars. And when people realize that we are not avatars on this game, we are real people. I'm Estêvão. I'm not an avatar I created for that game. And then I think that when people realize that, they enjoy the game even more and they respect each other more. And what I say every time I hear people from both teams complain about the other team and say that the other team are all cheaters or something, I say, come on, if we despise the other side, we can't play. You don't play a game with someone you mistrust or you dislike. You play a game with a friend. You play with a game with a friend, and you try to beat the friend. And that's the mindset I try to bring in my game and to my team.
Yeah, so true. You have been really great guests, guys. Thank you for being with us tonight, and well, hope to have you here maybe in the future.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you both so much for being on, and for those of you watching, join us next week, and happy hacking.
Happy hacking. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Have a good night and great week.
This time we don't have. Oh yeah, it is. Oh, Antonio is ready.
Antonio is always ready.
Oh my God, that sounds. Well, I'm not going to say that.
It's that kind of week, guys. It's that kind of
He
week.
is Latin American, so he's always ready.
Right. Estêvão, all right, I didn't ask you the liquor question because all I know is cachaça. What's another Brazilian drink I should be asking?